So at this stage of our project, we'll be setting up alerts on alerts to Microsoft Teams through the Data Activator. So luckily for us, this stage of our project is quite easy, not too much work, not too much stress. We don't have to stress ourselves all the way that much here. So as I said before, we are doing it on the Power BI platform. So I'll go to my dashboard I created in Power BI. And of course, you can see this is the dashboard I'm going with. So I'll be talking about the TikTok ban sentiment from the data I was able to ingest from the Azure, the platform, from the Big News API on the Azure platform. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. So of course, I would be, here's where I'm going to be setting up alerts through the cards. But unfortunately for me, I chose a card that just shows everything all in one. And to be able to do the next aspect of my project, I need to specify which card that I want to, you know, uh, that the sentiment I'm looking for or that I'm interested in is. So for example, let's say for example, I want to configure alerts that if the positive sentiments reach 40% or 50%, I should be given an alert on my Microsoft Teams. I would have to click on the positive sentiment card. But because all the cards are in one, I won't be able to easily do this. So for this, that means that I have to go back to my data model. And in my data model, I would have to re-edit how I work with the cards. So I'm going to make each card a separate, each card per sentiment, basically. So I have to go and edit my DAX query for that. So where is it? All right, so this is my data model. So I created one, you can see one DAX query for everything. So I'm going to have this in three phases. So I'll have the one for positive, for the negative, and for the neutral sentiment. So I have this written down somewhere. So I'll just copy and paste. I'm going to replace this one with the positive sentiment, breakdown. So that's good. I'll create a new one also, create a new measure for the negative. Then I'll create one for the neutral. So also copy and paste in that regards. Copy and paste I have somewhere. So for the negative sentiment, here's what's going to happen. Oops, I duplicated this twice. Okay, so yeah, this is my negative sentiment card, and for the next one will be my neutral sentiment card. So I would also have a card separately for my neutral sentiment. So copy and paste. Now we're going to paste this all the way here. So what I've done here is I've split the cards into three. So three per sentiment. So let me go back to my dashboard item. Of course, if I go to my data, this should reflect. Okay, now it's reflecting, so I have to fix this. I'm going to delete this, or I'm going to change the card type to the single card. So remove this. Let's go for the positive. So the positive is about 13.64%. I'm just going to copy this into like 3. Control C, Control V. So this would be too long. So maybe around something like this should be good. Around something like that should be good. Control C, Control V, and Control V. So I think I should be able to work with this. The spacing in between is manageable. Okay, so we have the positive, negative, neutral. So I'm just going to edit the DAX query for this. This is the negative. And last one will be neutral. So I am also going to just edit the font size for everything at the same time. So the color value, I'd say 18. 18 should be good enough for everything to show. Yes. So we have the positive, we have the negative, we have the neutral. So now it's left for me to be able to set up the alerts, and I'm going to choose to set up alerts based on the positive sentiment. Based on the positive sentiment, I will choose to set up alerts on my Microsoft Teams based on that. So, but before we even go there, if we look through our work in the sentiment area, we just have positive, negative, and neutral on the top. If you go all the way down, you might start seeing instances of mixed. Let's see if that's correct. Instances of mixed. So, and for extra context, mixed is probably when there's a mixture of positive and negative sentiments. So we could actually go ahead and, because of this new information, and edit our cards to include mixed, but I'm not going to do that. I'm satisfied with the way things are as they are. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up what's called alerts based on the positive sentiment if it reaches 50%, for example. And of course, remember, because of the amount of data we ingested, we cannot say that this data actually represents the real life sentiment of the TikTok ban, because we're only able to ingest about maybe 140 something rows of data at a time, or from the Bing News search API, because of our limitations on Azure platform. We're using a student account basically. So yes, I would set up alert, and it's very easy. I'll just hover around the sentiment I'm interested in, sentiment card I'm interested in. I'll click on options, and you can see that you can add alerts. So I'll click on alert. So allow it to run, allow it to run, allow it to run. And of course, you can see, oh, positive sentiment when it changes or when it becomes, because I want it to be greater than 50. So I'll say condition greater than, thank God, thank you very much. I'll say greater than 50.00. I'll just leave it as decimal place there. And then when that occurs, send a message to my team. So this is my team's account. Send a message to my team's account. So the condition specified, the alerts, sentiment specified also, because we have the positive, negative, and neutral. So I choose the positive, of course, which I'm interested in. And at this point, I can go and click on apply. So if this sentiment ever reaches 50, I'll get the alert on my Microsoft Teams. So I would see Teams notification basically. I will click on apply. And of course, we're choosing Teams because in our project architecture, we mentioned we're going to be using Teams. So we have successfully been able to create an alert. Let me check my notifications. Created an alert on Microsoft Teams. That's very good. Yeah. So one alert on this report. So I think this has been very interesting. If you go down, you see Microsoft Power BI alerts. My workspace, item, alerts, okay. I'm not going to change it, the location. But yeah, you can see the alert name is positive sentiment alert. It just created an alert name based on the type of alert we're trying to configure. Let me click on the details, date published. So yes. So what I want to do is actually open in Activator so that I can see furthermore, I could understand or drill down into the details of my new alert I've configured. You can go ahead and see things like when it's going to send the alert, things about the sentiments alert basically that I've created. So here's an interface that shows me everything. So this is attributes, there's the condition, this is the type. So through here, I can go ahead and stop. I can go ahead and delete the alert if I'm interested in that. But basically, if the condition is above 50, or reaches 50, it's going to give me an alert on Teams. Basically, if the positive metrics or positive sentiments, and of course it's this 13.4, so no alert up till now. But if it ever reaches that condition, you can see all the actions, see where it's going to go to the recipient, and everything is going to say attributes, condition, occurrence, everything. So this is basically the configuration for our alerts. So I think this step or this process is quite what's the word? Straightforward, so to say, yeah, very straightforward. So alerts have been configured and things like that. So what I'll do now, just to make things proper, because I want to save this work just in case. So I'll click on save report. Report has been saved. So I'm actually quite satisfied with my work so far, so good. I'm actually quite satisfied. I can just do like just make everything show a bit more, show a bit more. But in terms of my end-to-end data engineering project at this stage in time, I'm satisfied with my output. I can say that I'm done. So the next thing that I need to talk about now is just a refresher on the entire project architecture. So as you can see in this diagram, if you remember back at when I was defining the project, defining the architecture, this architecture represents the end-to-end data engineering pipeline I built on Microsoft Fabric, showcasing basically at this point how I handle data from injection to actionable insights. What was the goal? The goal was to create an efficient and integrated system that automates data processing while delivering value through insights and collaboration. So the pipeline begins with the data ingestion when I source data from, or where I source data from the Bing API in the JSON format. I used Azure Data Factory to orchestrate the entire ingestion process, automating retrieval of data and ensuring a seamless flow into the system. So this step basically allowed me to efficiently handle raw data and to prepare it for the next stages. So the ingested data, what happens is it was then stored in one lake, which acts as the centralized data repository. So one lake provides scalable and secure storage, ensuring the data is organized and easily accessible for processing. The storage layer, it forms the backbone of the system, enabling efficient data handling and supporting downstream workflows. So the next thing I did was I used the Snaps data engineering for the data transformation stage. I used the Snaps data engineering. I used the Snaps data engineering for the um, data transformation stage. Here, I clean, process, and structure the raw data into a more usable format. So this step was very crucial for turning unstructured data into something meaningful, ensuring its accuracy, consistency, and readiness for analysis. So after a data transformation, the data moves into the Snaps data science phase, where I leverage advanced analytics and machine learning models. At this stage, I applied models to uncover trends, generate insights, and make predictions. So this is one of the most exciting parts of the project, and it demonstrates how raw data can be transformed into actionable insights that inform strategic decision making. So what happens once the insights are ready? So once they are ready, I integrated a Data Activator into the pipeline to enable kind of like an event-driven workflow and alerts. So basically, this ensured that specific conditions in the data trigger they trigger automated actions like notifications or updates. So actually allowing for real-time responses to critical events. And the response I went for was if the positive sentiment hits a 50% mark. So yes, to make the more also actually to make the insight more accessible. Remember, I used Power BI, so it was actually before I configured that. So I used Power BI to create interactive dashboards and reports. Just the reports, just the dashboard. These visualizations were designed to communicate key findings from my data, just making it easy for maybe stakeholders to explore the data, anybody to explore the data and come to an easy conclusion of what's going on. So I think it was a very rewarding step, although I didn't do too much in terms of that. I just wanted to show that this you could actually connect Power BI to this workflow, and that's why we connected the alerts. So yeah, Microsoft Teams where the alerts were sent to. So the integration just allows me to share insights like based on my work, and of course the trigger was 50%. So I think this project, I'm quite satisfied with this project, and I think it's a learning experience for me, and it's something that's helped me to understand how to demonstrate or design kind of like and implement the data engineering pipeline in Microsoft Fabric. So utilizing Microsoft Fabric, I think Microsoft Fabric is the future of Microsoft. I could be wrong, but with the way things are going, I'd say that. So the project involved data ingestion to data transformation with Snap Data Engineering. We transformed it to a clean, structured delta table from a JSON file. Then we have the sentiment analysis, where we made predictions on the sentiment based on the description and things like that. So The data ingestion to collaboration, every step of this pipeline has been designed to ensure personal learning for me in terms of how to produce scalable, efficient, and workflows in the Microsoft Fabric platform. So thank you very much.